many, many words that I had, that they went over everything, like in Doubleday, like you can't say Geisha boyfriend because it's German and it modifies a female and that's a male. And I was like, well, you know what? My character's not like a German scholar, okay? And I wouldn't say Goyish boyfriend because that to me sounds pejorative. And so then I'm fighting with some guy in email, through the editor's assistant, where I got to the point where he couldn't understand my point, where part of this is just coming out of, like, I'm writing a point of view, I'm writing about a girl, I'm writing about how she says it. And so finally, when all of that failed, I went online and I went through New York Times and I found examples where they all modified Goyisha with male. I gave them New York Times, Washington Post. I gave them the Village Voice. I gave them some woman blogging about how her daughter has a very nice Goyisha boyfriend now, even though she was upset, from Anshe Chesed website. And, and I got my E back. Don't fight with me about this. I've learned how to fight much harder as a writer than an actress. Oh. And I did a reading up in the country, up in the Catskill Mountains. Do you know New York? It's like the Borscht Belt. And the critique after was that my mother's friend, Stanley Eisenberg, said that when I drink, I should drink from a glass and not from the bottle. It was not ladylike. Nothing
about the book, right?
I mean, he was nice about the book, but it was very funny. He was like, oh, Stanley told me to tell you something, but I'm not going to tell it to you. See, now that thing that I just did, I had an interview today for Expanded TV, and he said something about Jewish humor. And again, we're back to New York, and we're back to assumptions, we're back to the stereotypes, because what I just did is a very New York thing. It's not humor. You left here because it's also coastal, but if I was in the middle of the country, I don't think people would find it so funny. It might be that annoying thing. And in fact, I was talking, Luke Ford has a great blog, and he interviewed me with Good Frog and did again tonight. We were talking at my interview and again tonight about so much of what I write and these stereotypes, which I make a unique stereotype because I'm writing about one specific person. It's stereotypical because you can universally identify, but it's personal because it's one person's point of view, and that's how we all live our life. But it becomes a stereotype because the masses can relate to it. And so much of what I write has to do with New York, and it's cultural. And it's kind of why I felt, in many ways, like a fish out of water when I lived here, which I did 3 times. And after the traffic today, I'm never coming back. First, I was like in the middle of the day, like, oh, maybe. And I was like, forget it. I can't handle it. But there are cultural differences where people feel at home. And that's also part of the thing. Part of the syndrome, I think, is men, and again, making these big assumptions, but not wanting to feel so much like they married their moms, or wanting something that, oh, Russell is just sick now. When I said that. No, just heaved and...
Yeah, it's a horrible concept.
It's a horrible, well, I don't mean like literally. But I have a line in the book where I give
it's a horrible concept to marry someone who's like your mother and to sort of reenact your own relationship with your mother. That does happen to a lot of people. Okay, well, it's a Freudian conversation, but there are traits that could be very nice, and I'm whatever. It's just that I think that there's a familial thing that makes people uncomfortable, and they find the other a little bit more enticing. So, in this book, Amy Albert is born in New York City. Write what you know. But again, she's a publicist. Her dad, who the main prototype of the dad came from Ellen's dad, and Dick, who is an advertising guy, and I loved him, and he has so this character, the parents, the father is in advertising, and he keeps saying, like, write what you know. I'm sorry. He keeps saying, like, if you have good advertising, you don't need PR. I was thinking about your dad. I got so distracted. So that's one piece. She was born in the Upper West Side. That's where she was raised. Her parents still live there. She works in PR. She has a good friend, Krista Dowd, who is really your quintessential Shiksa goddess. And Krista has broken up with her boyfriend over Christmas and now has decided to choose the chosen and is bringing Amy to all these Jewish singles events where she could meet people. Amy has broken up with her Gentile stand-up comedic boyfriend on Christmas Day, and she has been very blue about that. So she has lost some weight, and her brother is a fashion photographer, nothing like my brother. He's eating. I wasn't even there. Get back in your seat, Stephen, right now. Stephen was eating during my reading. So her brother gives her this makeover, and the henna stays on her hair a little too long, turning it red. She's out of context. She goes to the store. She gets new ones. All they have is green. She has the nose job, and she bought a little black dress. And standing next to Krista at this kosher wine tasting, the two of them pass as the two shiksas in the room. But Amy doesn't really get what's going on. You know, she just doesn't get what's going on. So it takes her a while, and surrounding her from Christmas up until this point, around Valentine's Day, Krista's after the Jewish guys. At work, there's Heather Thompson, has gotten engaged to one of the Shapiro brothers, and the other one is fixed up with Nancy Chang, and her soap opera girlfriend is got engaged to a director who is Jewish, and Stephanie is not, and so on and so forth. It seems to Amy at this point that every available Jewish guy that she might like to date is now not available to her, as in addition to all else. They have an option on JDate, and this is really true, where you check the categorically, like how religious you are, and they have other, and then they also have willing to convert. And so there's a line in this book where Amy says, I feel, because she sees this girl, Selena, who's just been with this guy, Andy Zeman, and went bang, he broke up with the jacked out Lindsay Cassow, and bang, and so Amy's thinking to herself, it feels a wee bit competitive to be up against the non-Jewish women on the Jewish website. Now, sidebar here, there is this Josh character that she meets, who's a Jewish guy that she pretends to be the shiksa with. Turns out to be, and we could talk about that after, but so assimilated and almost some people feel like a self-loathing Jew. That was one review I did read on Amazon where somebody was very upset, and they were like, gee, I hated him, he hated the religion, so I hated Amy. It was just all too much. But there are so many other mixed reactions where people are able to see the broad scope of one's authenticity and how people lie for love and other themes like that are separate from the Jewish themes. So I forgot what I was talking about, I'm embarrassed to say. With Josh, I just went off on the tangent. I know what it was, the JDate. The JDate. So she says she's from Scranton. That's her lie, that she, like me, is from Pennsylvania. Her lie is Scranton. It's the first city that comes to her head. And I was dating somebody, casually, but for a while, for a year, and I had written so much of this before knowing him, and he thought that I was stealing.